the Senate is expected to vote this week on a bill blocking Washington, D.C.'s council from softening crime laws in the district. President Biden announced last week he will not veto the legislation. Joining me right now is Tennessee Senator Bill Hagerty. He's a member of the Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs, Foreign Relations Committees, as well as the Appropriations Committee. Senator, it's good to see you. Thanks very much for being here. And
Likewise,
I know you've
Maria.
spearheaded this effort in the Senate. Tell me more about that and on the president's stance on it.
Well, it's amazing to think that the D.C. Council, after 2 years of work on reforming their crime bill, has come up with a situation where they can actually lower the penalties for major crimes in the district. The District of Columbia has turned into basically a wave of crime right now, Maria. Carjackings have tripled over the past 3 years. Homicides exceed 200 per year over the past 2 years. The D.C. government's response to this right now is to hand out car locks, wheel locks, to people who are worried about getting their car stolen. This is ridiculous. At a time we're seeing a crime wave, this is the Federal District of Columbia. I've got constituents coming to visit me every day. My staff live there. I'm there working every week. The district needs to be a safe place, not an embarrassment to the nation. When the D.C. Council passes a law like this, in fact, the mayor even vetoed it, saying it's not making the district safer. I'm not going to allow it to stand. I have responsibility on the Appropriations Committee for the D.C. government. I'm going to take that responsibility seriously, and we're going to push back and overturn this.
So your take on what Joe Biden said about it. The president says he will not veto it, and I guess that upset some of your colleagues on the Democrat side.
It certainly upset the far left, Maria. They love the soft on crime policies. It didn't work very well, I think, for the Democrats, though, in the last election. If you poll people in the District of Columbia, 72% of them agree with me. The D.C. Police Union agrees with me. The Fraternal Order of Police agrees with me. They support the posture I'm taking. We need to push back on crime, get serious about dealing with crime rather than encourage it. The D.C. Council simply wants to encourage it. It's, again, making the District of Columbia, our nation's capital, into a laughingstock across the nation and across the world. We need to stop this.
Senator, I want to get your take on Jay Powell's testimony in front of your committee tomorrow. Got the Senate Banking Committee tomorrow and then the House Financial Services Committee on Wednesday. What do you want to ask Jay Powell? What will be the focus?
I think that the chairman has been dealt a very tough set of cards here, Maria. He's trying to bring inflation down. That's his charter, but he's trying to do that in the face of massive spending that Joe Biden and the Democrats have put into the system. This has been going on for 2 years. They've overheated the system with all this massive stimulus spending. I'm very interested to see his perspective on what might be done in terms of the stimulus spending that's still in the pipeline, is yet to be spent, because that's more inflation ahead that he's got to fight. Is there anything that we can do to the federal spending problem that's making it so difficult for him? I very deeply worry that he's going to have to put the private economy into a recession just to accommodate this massive federal spending that's been underway.
Well, it's a great point, but how are you going to stop the reckless spending? As we speak, President Biden is still trying to get his student loan forgiveness through. We spoke earlier about the appropriations process, and Jim Jordan joined me yesterday. Stephen Miller joined me yesterday on Sunday Morning Futures. They both said the only thing the House has is the power of the purse. You're on the Appropriations Committee. Are you prepared to tell the FBI, we're not going to give you the money and we're not going to approve the money that has been approved in the past because of XYZ, the collusion with big tech, because of XYZ, the reckless spending. We're going to hold back money in the Homeland Security Committee because of the wide open border. Will you use that appropriations process?
Absolutely, and the House can count on me. The House has control. We do not have control in the Senate, but as a member of the Appropriations Committee, the House can count on me to support them every step of the way. We're looking at $350, $400 billion worth of student loan forgiveness funds that should come right back to the federal government. There are ways to cut this budget right now that will address the deficit. We don't have to put the full faith and credit of the United States government on the table. We can go back and take some of these reckless programs, defund them, and begin to make real progress in terms of turning our deficit back around and reducing our debt.
So how much of a focus will deficit reduction be in the president's budget? We're all waiting for President Biden to release his annual budget this week. We're expecting it on Thursday. It obviously takes on added significance with this fight over the debt ceiling. And I know that budgets are aspirational, so I want to get your take on, do you think the president's going to acknowledge the issues in his budget?
Here's what I'm expecting. Again, this budget has arrived late, and it may well be dead on arrival, Maria, because if they talk about reducing the overall deficit and the overall debt, I think the only way Joe Biden is going to do it is by adding more taxes on the backs of hardworking Americans. They don't seem to demonstrate any inkling of a desire to actually cut back on this reckless runaway spending. We'll see what he comes up with, but my expectation is it's just going to be more spending and a lot more taxes, and that's not the way to fix this economy right now.
All right, so real quick, we should expect higher taxes than this year?
I would expect that Joe Biden proposes it in the budget that comes forward. That seems to be the only knee-jerk reaction they have. They can't seem to cut spending whatsoever. So my expectation is more taxes, more crippling impact on the economy at a time when we do not need it.
Senator, it's great to get your insights. Please come back soon. Always a pleasure. Thank you, sir.
Always great to be with you, Maria. Thank you.
Bill Hagerty in Tennessee this morning. We'll be right back. Stay with us.